Hello enemies, book lovers, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel. So for this month I'm actually going to be adding my July and June TBR and combining them together because I have a few things happening in July, to say the least. The last 2 weeks of July I'm going to be moving out before August 1st, so it's going to be a very busy month in July. I would love to do like TBR videos and TBR games, but realistically speaking, considering I've been slumpy lately, very slumpy actually, and I'm going to be very busy and stressed out in July, I'm not going to really have a lot of time to read, or might not be in the headspace to read. So unfortunately I'm going to be adding my July and June TBR together, and it's going to just be like a giant TBR. A few of these books are going to be familiar because I didn't read all of the books I was supposed to read last month. It's been really hard for me to read. I've just been very slumpy, so unfortunately I haven't read all the books I was planning on reading in May, so I'm going to be reading some of them in June, and I'll talk about them in the beginning very quickly because you've already seen them before if you've been here since last month. I'll go over that quickly, although I'm going to be also reading other books for other things. Like for example, I'm going to be reading my manga. I think I'm on volume 12 of Berserk, which supposedly is going to be the one that breaks my heart. I am almost done the Golden Age arc, so I am terrified, to say the least. And of course I'm going to be continuing Attack on Titan. I haven't really been reading manga lately. I haven't really been reading anything really, so it's been a struggle, but I plan on continuing Berserk and Attack on Titan, of course, probably for the rest of the year because I've been slacking pretty heavily on my manga. I'm also going to be reading dark romance. It's going to be a video project where I read dark romance as it progressively gets darker and darker until my sanity is probably lost. It's already interesting. I already finished my first one, which is like 2 books. I don't really want to read right now, and the only thing I really want to read is romance. It's really annoying because I want to read more genres, but romance has been my go-to as of late, and it's just the easiest thing for me to consume. So I'm going to be doing like a vlog style reading dark romance and tier ranking them about how dark they are, and I'm excited about it. That being said, let's just move on to the TBR portion of the video. I have, like I said, 12 books. I'm going to go through these as quickly as possible, try to keep it under 2 minutes each if I can, and try to just be conscientious of what I'm saying and not ramble too much. June is Pride Month, so obviously I'm going to be trying to read a few, LGBTQIA plus books, and it's also Indigenous Peoples Month, so I'm going to be reading a bit more Indigenous authors because I haven't really been prioritizing that this year, so I'm going to be trying to do that this month, and obviously I want to continue that throughout the year as well. June is also chapter 2 of the Library of Dragon Readathon, which is my readathon where you get to have a dragon and you get to create it and you get to adventure with it and do your own thing. This month is going to be the month where we build our realms, and so the books that we read will make certain buildings and such like that, so I'm going to be reading books according to my own readathon. The first book I'm going to mention very quickly is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. I think this is the 3rd in the Farseer trilogy, so this is the last in the trilogy. There's a read along happening with this, so I'm going to be hopefully reading this, and I was supposed to read this, like start it at least in May, didn't happen. I am still on the 2nd book. Yeah, it's bad. Hopefully I can finish the 2nd book. I'm trying to get into Robin Hobb. I don't know why. I think the writing style is just really hard for me to get into, but I am liking it. It's just that it's really hard for me to get absorbed into. I don't know if it's my slump. I don't know if it's just I'm not really that intrigued into it yet. I'm just hoping that I will get absorbed into this world and the characters and love it, because I really need to do that. I really want to love Robin Hobb, so I'm hoping as I continue the books and the series I will enjoy them more and more. It's just been kind of hard for me to get into for some reason. I can't really explain why, but epic high fantasy series following Fitz when he's like really young, and then we kind of follow him throughout about like 15 or so books until he's older, and I know it's gonna be heartbreaking and it's gonna be hard to read, and I'm looking forward to it, I think. Possibly. This is going to be fulfilling 2 prompts for my readathon. This is going to fulfill the Castle prompt, which is a book featuring royalty, because Fitz is a royal bastard, so that will count for me. This is also going to fulfill the prompt for The Barracks, which is a book featuring war, crime, fighting, anything like that. It's an epic fantasy series, so there's always going to be fighting and death and everything, so this does fulfill the Barracks prompt as well. If you've watched my May TBR, you will see a few familiar books, so I will show them really quickly, like I said, and just briefly mention them. First one being The Accidental Apprentice by Manafudi. This is the first book in the Wilder Lore series, and I haven't gotten to it yet, but I do want to get to it because I really want to. I don't think this fulfills any prompts for me. I just really want to get to it because I got this in my TBR jar in May, and I still want to read it. This is about a young boy that goes into a magical forest. He finds beasts and their masters, and he becomes one himself, like a beast master that has his own, creatures on the cover. And he has to decide if he wants to stay with them or if he wants to go back to his hometown and go back to the people that he grew up with, or these cool beastmaster people. I mean, I feel like that would be the cooler option, but I could assume what would happen. This is like a middle grade, so I'm hoping this will be like easy, fast, and kind of like not cozy, but something that's not very serious, which I might need anyway for the next few months. The next book, I actually am around almost 200 pages in, and that is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. This was my scratch off for one of your recommendations. This is how far I got into it, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad. I got my Percy bookmark from Critical Role. He's one of my favorite characters in Vox Machina, which is the first campaign. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I apologize. It's a D&D thing. This is a thriller about a guy that like kidnaps children and brings them to this like Christmas land, and it's pretty morbid and messed up. I am actually liking it though, but I'm only, like I said, under 200 pages into it. I still have a long way to go. There's a lot of chunky books on this list. I have around 4 books that are over 500 pages, and so I am kind of dreading that. We'll see if I actually get to it. This is going to be returned to my library tomorrow, unfortunately, so I'll have to read this digitally. I'm not usually a thriller reader, but I actually am quite liking this, and I want to see what happens next. Fourth one is another familiar face you've probably seen a few times on my channel. That is The Raven King by Nora Sakovic. Second book in the Elf of the Game series. I have been wanting to read this a lot. It's coming to the point where I'm forgetting the first book, which is not good. So I need to really get to this because obviously it's important to read the books I want to read and plan on reading and putting on my TBRs. So I wanted to get to this. This is a dark sports contemporary book that has sprinkles of romance in it, but I wouldn't really say it's a romance-centric trilogy. It has a lot of dark themes, so I would not really consider it to be a dark romance, but there are romantic elements. The first book didn't have a whole lot of romance in it, which is fine. I don't really want to have a fast burn or insta-love, so I'm looking forward to seeing this like slow, gradual build-up and hoping that the characters are somehow happy at the end. I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen, but we can try. I also forgot to mention that Nosferatu will fulfill the prompt for Hideout, which is a book featuring misfits, crime, hidden motives, rebellion. This is crime because there's a man doing things with children, taking them from their families, and then doing things with the families so that they can't come after the kids. So yeah, definitely crime-centric to say the least. And then for The Raven King, I use this for The Temple Ruins, and that is a book featuring betrayal, things that are broken, rebuilt, or forgotten. And The Raven King, or the Elf of the Game trilogy as a whole, is very broken. A lot of the characters are unfortunately going through a lot of bad things, so I kind of just use that as a way to kind of choose that prompt. I think that's like kind of a stretch, but not very much, because these characters are definitely broken and damaged, but hopefully there'll be a little bit of a positive in the future with them. Fingers crossed, at least. The next prompt I'm going to fulfill is the school prompt, which is to read a book in a school setting. Pretty easy and obvious. For that, I'm actually going to be picking up a book that was actually recommended to me, I think over a year ago. I think probably a few years ago. I think someone recommended this to me because of my story of thinking I was straight for pretty much like most of my life, I think. Until 2020, I thought I was straight, which is funny now that I think about it. I went to Pride Parade when I was a teenager. I've always been an ally. I've always said I was an ally. I had a crush on a supervisor, female supervisor, mind you, and I didn't really think about it. I don't know why. I just didn't think about it and put the puzzle pieces together until 2020 when I realized I was having crushes on people who were like androgynous or feminine, and I was like, you know what, I think yeah, so I realized that after a while, and then I started kind of talking about it online, and someone said there's a book that's kind of similar to my experience, and so I wanted to pick it up, and I'm finally going to be doing that for June. And that is going to be Imogen, obviously, by Becky Abertelli. This is a book, like I said, that was recommended to me, and this was a while ago, but I'm finally going to be getting to it, and I'm excited about it because, like I said, I feel like I'm going to relate to Imogen in this story to some extent. So Imogen thinks that she's straight, she thinks that she's heterosexual, and then she goes to school, and then one of her friends say that they previously dated when they didn't, and so everyone thinks that she has, you know, some relationship with someone in the past that was a woman. And then that girl's friend Tessa eventually kind of grows a relationship or like a friendship with Imogen, and then Imogen starts to have feelings toward Tessa. She never had feelings for another woman before, so she kind of has this like confusion as to if she's actually heterosexual or not. And it's a pretty simple premise. It's a contemporary novel. I think it's maybe a little bit more YA than anything else, but I'm looking forward to reading something like this. I think it's going to be really sweet, and the cover is beautiful. I love the color scheme. I love like the pastels and the soft pinks, and oh, it's just so pretty. It's such a pretty cover. We'll see if I actually end up reading any of these books. This one I really hope I do, but if I don't, I will come back to myself on this eventually. The next book is actually one I never planned on reading, and I don't really know how I'm going to feel about it when I get to it, but for the Aurelian Readathon, there's an annual readathon where you have to read a book every single month. There's a prompt, and you have to read a book according to the prompt, and for the one for June was actually really difficult for me for my path. Right now I'm on the very right path, and for this one I have to read a book with an envelope or a typewriter on the cover, and that one was really hard for me. I actually was going to read Misery again by Stephen King, but I've already read it before, so I had to try to find something else that would work, and I found a book, I guess. I just don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. When did this come out? This came out in 2023. Really? This came out last year? I thought this came out later than last year. It feels like time is going by so fast. Okay. And it is a female-female relationship, so you know what? I guess it works out. This will also be on audiobook because I will not be able to get this on physical or ebook, unfortunately, so I do not usually like audiobooks, but it's the only thing I really have right now. And so I'm going to be reading I Kissed Sarah Wheeler. This is written by Casey McQuiston, the author that also wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, and I have read that book and I enjoyed it. I read it a long time ago though, so hopefully I will still like this. This is about a girl named Chloe Green. She goes to school, so another book with a school setting. I guess this works out to some extent. There's the prom queen, Sarah Wheeler, who ends up kissing her and kind of just leaving, and she finds out there's a few other people who also she just kissed. She ends up finding some letters by Sarah Wheeler, and she's trying to, alongside the other people I think in the group, trying to find where she went. It kind of gives me the vibe of All the Boys I've Loved Before, kind of gives me that vibe, which I really like that book, but I also read that probably over 5 years ago now, so I'm hoping I will still like this. It seems really simple. I'm a little bit nervous about reading a romantic YA because I'm a little bit outgrown YA now, but maybe I'll like it. It might be a good palate cleanser between my slumps and some of the bigger books in this list, so I hope I'll like this. I'm just reading this mostly for the Readathon prompt. If I don't like it, if I DNF it, that's fine, but I'm gonna give it a shot and hopefully at least enjoy it. The 7th book on this list is one I actually got off of NetGalley as an e-arc. I'm really excited to be accepted for it because I really want to read this, and it is a book that is going to be releasing on August 6th, so look forward to that if you are interested in this. This is a debut novel written by an Indigenous author, and this is The Truth According to Ember. This is written by Danica Nava, and this one is, like I said, a debut novel. There's also going to be an Indigenous female character and male character, so I'm really excited to see a relationship between two Indigenous people. I actually don't think I've ever read that before, so I'm really excited to be getting to this. This is following Ember, who is trying to find a job. She goes to dozens and dozens of jobs, I think around like 30 or more jobs, and she can't find one. So one day she ends up actually lying on her resume and puts different ethnicities and everything on her resume so that she can hopefully get a better job, because if you have like a white name or if you have anything under your resume that makes you seem like you're a white person, they will probably accept you more often than anyone who is BIPOC, and it actually ends up working. And so she goes into this job and she ends up meeting a guy in IT who she kind of has like a little spark between. As this relationship between them grows, there's also a little bit of blackmail. People are trying to release the lies that she's told and kind of just snowballing into more lies as it goes. I'm a little bit nervous. Hopefully nothing bad happens with Ember. Because this is a rom-com chick lit kind of book, I'm assuming hopefully good things will happen. But I'm looking forward to this. I'm really excited that I got accepted by this on NetGalley because I really wanted to try it and I really want to read more Indigenous authors, and it's a debut novel, so I really recommend trying it out if you're interested. But hopefully I will enjoy this and I'm looking forward to reading it. I cannot wait. The 8th book on this list is one I've had for a while now. I actually own this physically, which is really nice, but I haven't gotten to it. This one is going to fulfill one of my prompts for Readathon, which is a book featuring celebration, joy, culture. This is for the market prompt. This one definitely is not joy or celebration, but it does mention culture in the back, so I will be fulfilling it for that. And that book is going to be The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, and I know there's a lot of discourse on this. A lot of people like it, some people really don't like it, but I'm hoping I will like it anyway. This is a thriller featuring revenge, culture, traditions. I am looking forward to getting to this. I don't know much about it, but it is a thriller and it's pretty short, so I don't want to really know much about it anyway. I'm gonna give it a shot. Like I said, it is short and I've had it for a while, so I really want to try getting to it. I got this book along with the nonfiction I'm about to show you later on from goodminds.com, which is an Indigenous South Ontario Indigenous store that sells books. So if you want to buy any Indigenous books and you are Canadian or in Canada or in Ontario or anything like that, and they ship to you, I recommend maybe trying them out. So with that being said, we'll see if I get to this. I really hope I do because it's something I really wanted to be getting to. So every other month between Robin Hobb books, I wanted to get to the rest of the Expanse series. And because of that, I was supposed to read this, I think around last month, but Robin Hobb has been kind of taking priority over everything else. If I don't get to it in June, I will hopefully get to it in July. This is a bit of a chunky book as well. I have a few on this list, but this is obviously going to be the 3rd book in the Expanse series. This is Abaddon's Gate, and the last book ended off on a cliffhanger, so I've been kind of just dying to know what happens next for the past like 4 months now. If you like space operas and just really good epic sci-fis, this series is incredible. I've only read 2 books and I am loving it so much. This is probably one of the best sci-fi series I've ever read in my life. To be honest, I don't read a lot of sci-fi, but this is incredible. I keep telling my boyfriend to read it because I know he will like it, but he hasn't picked it up yet. But eventually I will get him to read the series because it is so good. It just every time I pick them up, I'm just obsessed with it. And despite the fact this was written a while back and also written by 2 male authors, this is actually pretty diverse as well, which is really surprising and also a breath of fresh air for older books and books written by men, because you don't see it very often in both those situations. So I'm looking forward to actually continuing the series because it's been a while since I have, but I am really looking forward to getting to the rest of the Expanse series and continuing the series as a whole. The 10th book on this list is going to fulfill the prompt for reading a book based off of my dragon's vibe. This is because I wanted to have like a statue of a dragon in my realm, so I decided to choose this, obviously. I mean, I like everything with dragons, so of course I'm going to choose one that's based off of a dragon. This book is perfect for it because it is black and red, and it also has hints of yellow, and my dragon is black and red with gold eyes, so this is perfect for my dragon's vibe in regards to the color scheme. And that is To Shape a Dragon's Breath by Monoquill Black Goose. This is a book I've been wanting to get to since it was just discussed and talked about before it even came out. I've been wanting to get to it. I've been putting it off. I wanted to get to this last year for my readathon, and I haven't gotten to it yet. Like, I'm just nervous to get to it because I'm afraid I'm not gonna like it, but I don't want to put too much expectations on it. It's just that it sounds like such a cool concept, so I'm really hoping I will enjoy it. I believe this book touches on colonization. The main character is seen as someone in a negative way because she can bond with a dragon egg, and they see that as a negative thing, at least for the conquerors, or I'm assuming the colonizers in the story. She goes to a dragon school, and if she ends up failing, or if she doesn't do well with her dragon, the dragon will be killed, unfortunately. I don't really read any dragon school books. I never read Fourth Wing. I don't really think I'm going to read it even on my channel for certain reasons, but I definitely want to try this one, especially because I just love the idea of a dragon school setting. So another school setting, a lot of them actually on this list, more than I thought. Hopefully my slump can go away so that I can actually get to this book and read a few of these books on this list, but especially this one. I've been really wanting to get to this so badly for a while now, so I feel like it's about time I actually do that. Okay, so I'm down to the last 2 books on this TBR, and I am excited to be finally getting to the end of this video so that I can hopefully post it up soon. Fingers crossed. The next book is actually one I did for our scratch off. Unfortunately, I was really busy in the weeks following this video, so I haven't really been able to film at all. But luckily, I actually was able to just film me just picking one of the scratch off cards and scratching it off. So I'll be just putting it up here or putting it on an overlay over me talking. So I did scratch off a book. I ended up getting a purple one, which is a book that a booktuber didn't like. So like a least favorite book, which is a great time for me. The point of this one is just to see if I like a book that other people don't and just try books that other booktubers didn't like. I thought this would be like a fun challenge to do. So, I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I'm a little bit nervous. For this, as you can see, I got Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, written by Heather Fawcett. This is actually one of the books that Sarah from Fairy Reads did not enjoy. I'll put her down below if you like fantasy, if you like manga. Definitely check her out. But she didn't really like this book, and that's why it's on this list right now. I know a lot of people did like this book, so there is hope I will enjoy it. If I don't like it though, at least that's something that me and Sarah can kind of like agree with, which is, I guess, fun to an extent. I will link her channel down below along with someone else I have to choose this for, which was a very happy thing to see. So I was looking up June TBRs for my people that I am subscribed to, and luckily enough, I actually found someone that had this book on their TBR for June, which means for my readathon, I had to steal a book off of someone's TBR. And yes, it is slightly cheating because I was already going to read this, but someone already had it, so I got to steal it from them too. So it does fulfill that prompt, okay? I have to be kind to myself. I cannot add more books to this list. I cannot do it. I saw that Haley Colonna had this also on her June TBR, and I said I'm going to just take it because I need to fulfill that prompt, and I am really excited that there was a book that fulfilled it, and it's not a very big book either. I also want to mention, please check out Haley's channel. Not only is she a very open advocate for Palestine, she's also doing a GoFundMe for Kareem, who is someone who is in Gaza right now that needs help, along with a bunch of other people with his family and just people surrounding him. So please, if you want to check her channel out, I would very much advise to do that. And if you can help, I would recommend to at least check out the GoFundMe, and if you can't, then at least share and everything like that. I really respect her and how much she has kind of talked about things, and it has changed my mind on a lot of things and just made me kind of realize certain things I wish I had noticed sooner. I really do recommend checking her out, especially if you want to see booktubers who are supporters of Palestine. So I kind of just read the back of this because I actually had no idea what this was about. This is about a scholar named Emily Wilde who goes and writes the world's first encyclopedia of fairies. I mean, yeah, fair enough. As she's doing this, she has a handsome academic rival named Wendell. She's kind of trying to discover him alongside writing this encyclopedia. Honestly, that's all I really got from the back of it, and that's pretty much all I really need to know because it's a pretty short book, and I don't like going through my books knowing much. It sounds fun. Will it be executed well? Will I like it? That is questionable, but hopefully I will enjoy it. And the 12th book on this list is one I've owned for a while as well. I started this about 4 years ago, and I kind of just put it down because it was just really hard for me to read at the time. I was going through like a hard time in my life, and this book is just dark, I guess you can say, because it has lots of hints of real life events that happened in the course of the last few decades of Canadian history. So it was really hard to read. But this is 21 Things You Might Not Know About the Indian Act. This is written by Bob Joseph. This is very, very tiny. It's only 120 pages, but it is about the Indian Act and just the horrors of just how it kind of came to be and just what the Indian Act even is. And it's not good. to say the least. I read about a quarter of this before I put it down, and it is just so hard to wrap my head around the fact that humans can even do this to other people. So I want to read this. I want to read this slowly over time. It is really, really amazing. I think that this should be Canadian curriculum. It should be like in schools, and I hope that my child will eventually read this in the future if I have one, because this is really important to read about. But I'm a little bit nervous because of the content matter, because of just how hard it is to read about history and just how messed up everything was at one point and still is to this day. I forgot I was actually annotating this. I think this was like the first book I ever tried to annotate. I was underlining things and I was kind of like highlighting things I was interested in. So this is a very important topic, I think, in my opinion. If you are Canadian, I definitely recommend reading this. Obviously you can be anywhere in the world and read this, but I think if you're Canadian especially, this is very important to read. That being said, I'm going to finish the video off here. That are the 12 books I want to read. This is not even including my manga, and also not including the dark romance I eventually plan on reading and doing vlogs about. So there's a lot of books on this list, but hopefully I can get to most of them, if not the majority of them. I won't be doing my August TBR probably until a little bit into August, because I'm going to be moving out. So hopefully I can get a few videos prepared. If not, then you might not see me post for a while, which I feel like is pretty traditional of me anyway. I have a lot of books on this TBR. Just looking at this is intimidating, and this is not even all of my books. So I'm gonna finish the video off here. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any books that you want to tell me that you're reading for June or July, let me know. If you're taking part in any readathons, let me know. I always love to hear about different readathons that are happening, because there's like a lot of them, to say the least. With that, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great reading month in June, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.